Yeah, so basically, obviously we said that we're doing a case study on frequency.
Yeah.
So obviously I've worked with you with frequency, so I know that you're all like involved in the thing.
Yeah.
So we just want to know, like, how did the university get involved with frequency? How did it come about? Like, where did the idea come from?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So before the 2012 Olympics, do you remember those ones?
Yeah.
Here in London, there was some money being made available to organisations like the Arts Council for what was called a cultural Olympiad. And the Arts Council was particularly interested in areas of the country that were so-called cultural cold spots.
Yeah.
I didn't have much going on. So the East Midlands, obviously within which Lincoln is part, was targeted as an area where they would give some extra investment to do some cultural activity. So when I arrived at the university in 2010, a little bit of money had just been achieved to start off something like a festival, an arts festival, with a loose idea around it, something to do with the digital. But it was only really when a kind of working group was established that included, I was invited to come along, somebody from the drill hall in Lincoln, somebody from the collection, who had the original ideas, and a few other people to kind of go, okay, how can we make this actually happen? And we used a little bit of the money to do a recruitment exercise that led to the appointment of Threshold Studios to be the organisation that would develop the idea and deliver it. It went from, because of taking them on, they kind of looked at the sort of very outline plans to start with and said, well, rather than do a kind of a 6 month long, can you imagine a frequency of 6 months? Oh my God. 6 month long kind of occasional, every week something, why not have a big bang 5 or 6 days? So that was the first one in 2011. We used the funding that we got then to employ this company, Threshold Studios, to help us, by us I mean the city, Lincoln, deliver this festival. And the festival's really continued on that basis, being a collaboration between the university, other partners around the city, and employing Threshold Studios, so Sam and Uzma and Barry, and Christy before that, to deliver and develop that festival using obviously their contacts, their knowledge, their professional experience and their kind of vision on how to create a festival. Before Threshold came on board, it wasn't called Frequency, it wasn't a 5-day festival, it was digital-ish, but it wasn't the full-on digital thing it is now. So they're really credited with kind of coming up with the name, coming up with the format, coming up with the ideas around the trail and the volunteering for students, the internship. So all of the ideas really are theirs, but the original kind of heart of it and the original bit of funding came from a small group of people who just took advantage of the fact that Lincolnshire was seen to be a cold spot for culture. And I think I came on board somewhere between that original money and Threshold. I kind of was invited to just come on board at that point and was so part of that group that went, oh, we can't do it ourselves, we want to do it differently, let's employ a company, and employed Threshold after a competition. We had a bit of a competition. There were 3 organisations who applied and Threshold was the one who got it. And then I stayed involved as the university sort of lead contact really on the working group. So every 2 months we meet up as a working group. I'm the person from the university, there are people from different organisations, cultural organisations in the city, and Uzma is there for Threshold, sometimes with, sometimes not with one of her colleagues, and we talk about how the next festival is going to evolve and how it's going to develop. So yeah, that's really, the university is one of the partners, in a nutshell. Long answer, short answer. The university is a partner. Also, the university applies for the main money. So although we work together, Uzma, myself and a few others, on writing the application, it's the university that actually submits the bid to the Arts Council and then acts as the kind of the purse. So the money comes to the university and then goes out to the artists.
So I think you mentioned something about the volunteering, like the internships kind of thing. So would you say it was always an aim to get the students here locally involved?
Definitely.
And how important do you think that involvement is?
Well, practically, we couldn't run it without students. You know, if you think about it on the trail, if everything's going to be open from a 10, 11 till 5
Yeah.
and everything's free, we need the students to be there as volunteers. And I think one of the things we really loved about the ideas that Threshold brought to their original pitch, their presentation to get the contract, was their ideas around not just using students, but using it as an opportunity to develop students, involve students, support them, brief them, use them properly, give them opportunities and all of that. So it was that sort of collaborative force with students as well that we really liked. So there's a kind of practical reason, but then there's also a kind of a talent development reason, which is good. And the internship scheme as well, we saw it as a really good way, and it's something we've been evolving as well, a really good way of enabling new graduates normally from creative subjects where there might not always be opportunities to go into interesting pieces of work, to get little assignments that are paid with a festival. Quite a crazy festival, but a one way at least you could get some pay for doing a bit more of a responsible job.
Yeah, okay. Trying to think of how to phrase the question. So obviously, like Frequency started in 2011, and then that's going to start its 4th one this year.
Yeah.
So like, how do you think, in your own words, like how has the festival grown since the first one up until now? So like recently the 3rd one.
Yeah.
It's quite big.
Yeah, I think
it's
that
in the news.
surpassed the visitors.
Yeah, it did.
So how do you think it's grown over the few years?
Well, it's grown in visitor numbers, it's grown in how many artists come on board, it's grown in the number of partners who get involved, which is really good. I think when you do a first one, people just sort of go, yeah, whatever, you know, as a bit of a crazy idea. And also I remember me personally getting involved thinking, oh, this is a lot of work for something that might happen again or might not, but hey, it's kind of along with the Olympics and it's something different for Lincoln. And what I love about Lincoln is that you can always try out new things, and people seem up for that. I think, to be honest, if the School of Film and Media hadn't, you know, colleagues and students and graduates hadn't got really involved, it wouldn't have happened a second time. But because there were good people with good energies and great ideas, people like Graham Cooper, David McSherry, people like that who just really got it and who really got involved, I think that then meant that we had the confidence to think, oh, let's do it again. And let's see if we can go from that little experiment, which we kind of went, yeah, we're kind of trying, but then to kind of go, let's try it again. And I think what I love about working with Uzma as well is that even while doing the festival, she's always going, right, next time we'll do it differently, bigger, better, enjoy the current one, but think about and learn about what we can do even better for the next one. So I guess we're always hoping there'll be a next one, but it's ultimately up to the Arts Council whether they will give the major bit of funding. As they do, what's good is that more people kind of expect it to happen, so they come forward with maybe extra help. And I like the fact that students are now, like yourselves, doing projects on it and kind of going, oh, there are 4 festivals, that's great. So whereas a few years ago, obviously, there was no festival.
Yeah. So what, like, let's say if Frequency keeps continuing, what would you think would happen? Or how would you view it? As a permanent festival? Like, would it be a good thing? Be too much for Lincoln? Is it perfect? Kind of like,
well,
what kind of, where would you stand?
Yeah, oh, it's not too much for Lincoln. No, I think it's a festival that's very distinctive in its collaborative efforts between artists and students and graduates, and it's got that, because it's such a partnership with the university, then really one of my kind of main focus, and it's great that Uzma is so up for this anyway, is to make sure that there are opportunities for students and for staff and for graduates, because that's what we're about, isn't it? You know, it's kind of enabling you guys to be involved. I think Lincoln as a city is really ready for it now and up for it. I think one of the challenges always, but we were really heartened by the very first festival, the way in which local people did come along, they got involved, they seemed to enjoy it, they were surprised by kind of wandering into churches or unusual spaces and seeing a bit of digital stuff, but seemed to react really warmly towards it, so seemed to welcome it. So I think what needs to happen is the years when Frequency doesn't happen, there needs to be proper investment so that Threshold colleagues are able to do the work that has to happen in between time to develop and prepare the next festival. We have a little bit of that at the moment, but we need more of it so that we can all keep doing it properly, otherwise it's not fair on them to have to work on thin air. So that needs to happen. I think more and more artists, and really good artists from all over the place, are wanting to get involved in a festival because they now know it's happening, they've seen it's been good in the past, So it's something that they ask to get involved in. So I think we can develop that into more of a selective process. There are also artists that I think, rather than us kind of using work that they've already done or they're working on, that I think Barry and Uzma are kind of looking to say, could you produce something especially for frequency? That's completely not existed before in any format and make it just specially for frequency. We saw that a little bit last time with the Magna Carta thing and the one up at the castle, which was amazing. That took some extra funding. It was a whole separate project but linked to frequency. So I think more of those where possible would be absolutely fantastic. But keeping the spirit of it being always a little bit adventurous, where something might go a bit wrong but nobody gets blamed. You can just take a few risks and keep them trying to drive it forward in that way.
Okay. Would you say that there are like any significant like challenges faced during the process? Like anything that really stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, every time you think you maybe know which venues you're going to use, which heritage spaces, and then there's some health and safety problem. I'm sure maybe Sam has spoken about this, where you think you've got a kind of really gorgeous church or something, and then they go, no, we've got to close because we've got this kind of the roof's fallen in or something like that. Or Chadvara we used last time, or the ownership is changing, so we're not going to be able to use that this time. But, you know, constantly having to look out for new spaces. So space is a challenge. Obviously finance is always a challenge, but, you know, you kind of reduce or extend your kind of ambition, never your ambition, but your actual what you do according to budget. Getting more partners on board is great, because hopefully they always bring something with them. Maybe it's a space, maybe it's an artist, maybe it's something, but then you have to manage their expectations. So are they going to expect something different from what we can offer? So we have to spend quite a lot of time, Uzma in particular, explaining to people what the festival's all about, and that it doesn't come with a whole bunch of money. It expects you to bring some stuff to it. So I think that there is always a kind of a communications job to be done.
Okay. You briefly mentioned like Lincoln as a venue for like something so digital. So what do you think of Lincoln as somewhere with like heritage history compared to what the festival is about? Like it's a very digital, modern kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, I think the fact that they are so different, obviously, and what I love about the festival is that you get the digital in these unique heritage spaces. And one of the things about the first festival, that it was kind of about unlocking the heritage and allowing the city to tell its story. And the fact that we were using spaces, and hopefully still use spaces, that people wouldn't normally go to in their day-to-day lives. You know, they might, you know, last time we did use Waterside, and they might go in there and then tumble across a piece of art. That's fantastic. Or they might see a heritage space and go, oh, I haven't been in there before. Oh, there's a piece of art. So I think it's about like a bit of an adventure, isn't it? A bit of an assault course, a bit of a kind of a trail of adventure. That both the heritage spaces, I think where it links together is that the heritage spaces and the digital are unknowns, and people can go through their daily lives without bothering with the heritage space, without bothering with digital art, but how much more fun it is when you combine the two and see them together. And Lincoln has the possibility of bringing those two together, doesn't it, in that way? You can do digital art in lots of different spaces, but nowhere's quite got the digital spaces that we've got. Or the kind of the trail that you can do through the city, right from the amazing high street in the south, right up to the cathedral. It's absolutely unique.
And easy to walk through within like a day.
Absolutely, you can do the whole trail easily in a day, can't you?
So it's just like a question for fun. Like, do you have a favourite installation from Frequency 2015?
Oh,
like, is there something you particularly remember?
I can't remember whether it was 2015 or 2013. That's really bad, isn't it? So there was one in Chadvara. It's probably 2013, but gosh, that's ages ago. Which was a piece by Alexis Rago in Chadvara in the chapel. And it was just beautiful. It made me cry. And I don't really know why, because it was just light and music and peaceful and serene, and you could just sit there, and it was quite overwhelming. It was probably also because I was very tired. And
the festival worked out, and you
and just kind of like, oh, this has all worked. And I just think to see a piece of work, and I think the artist, he'd been in and gone, but it was just one of those kind of really special moments. So that was really, really
lovely
beautiful.
when the artists go around there thinking as well.
Yeah.
And if you run into them, you can talk to them about
Yeah,
it.
there's no kind of barriers, are
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing As Morrison talks about. It's kind of no barriers festival. You should just be able to, if you know nothing about digital art or art,
Yeah.
you can just experience it and kind of find new ways of perceiving a space that you'd either not noticed before or you thought you knew, and you can see afresh with different eyes, can't you?
Yeah, I think like for the 2015 one, like in Sarah Barrow, the chapel as well, there was a Shin Ito from Japan. So like that's like a really, I met him in person, it was really good.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I think it's something different.
Great
kind
people.
Of brings, yeah.
And it's great, isn't it, that we've got obviously local artists, some of whom are staff, some not, some kind of students or postgrad students, but then getting these artists from all different parts of the world come here as well, which is really special, and then we can learn from them a lot as well. So there's some lovely connections that are developed.
And they all get to talk to each other and interact.
Exactly,
It creates a big network of
Yeah, definitely.